Merriam-Webster defines a team as a number of persons associated together in work or activity. But the best teams transcend mere association and become something greater. They become one. The 2024 Leeds Green Wave, the 104th team, did just that. They became one to love, one to celebrate, and one to remember. Tonight, we pull back the curtain on one of the most historic and memorable football seasons in Leeds history and tell the story of this team, who went where few have gone before. As the year began, no one really knew what to expect, but the Green Wave hit the road to Kimberly, Alabama for a matchup with 6A Mortimer Jordan.
The first game is always real difficult because they had a new coach and new staff, so you weren't sure exactly what you would get. I think they played us somewhat tough in the first half, but I never felt like we were not in control of the game. But they played hard, and then the second half, when Coach Millington made the call, gave him a little backfield action and hit Talon, and that kind of busted everything open.
Like seeing how hard it was when before halftime and y'all just going back and forth, and then them just coming out in one play and just scoring on you really quick. But I know it gave us a lot of energy to play, and after that it was it felt like smooth sailing from there.
It was a good win to get. They beat us last year, and to go to their place and get a victory was a good way to start the season.
A good start it was. The Green Wave rolled up 400 yards of offense en route to a 42-20 road win before heading back to Leeds, Alabama for the home opener versus Shades Valley.
Well, I knew they'd have great athletes, and they did. They were very big up front. That was a help to us later on in the season. We got used to playing that size of a team with really good athletes. It just challenged us to really find out where we were athletically versus the teams we would have to play in our region, which is a pretty athletic region.
Oh man, Home and Smiles, it's for us as football players, it's like playing at the home field. We have such a, big community and supporting community. It's just the best place to be. You have, fans cheering you on, got the cheerleaders, all the little kids on the sidelines, cheering you up. This is a great place to be.
Just going into the game, I knew we were going to run the ball a lot. We have a bunch of good guys up front that we knew we could block them, but me personally, I've never played them in football. I've only seen film. So really I didn't know what to expect going into it, but we controlled the line of scrimmage really well and ran it down the throat.
Run it they did. Connor Nelson and ZJ Dale combined for 262 yards and 4 touchdowns, while the defense kept a big front and an athletic skill group contained. The Green Wave defeated the Mounties 28-19. The next 2 weeks, the Green Wave hit the road, but felt right at home as they defeated region foes Springville and Lincoln 42-14.
Well, we were better than those two teams in this particular year, I felt like. And the challenge is, if you believe you may be a better football team going into the game, do you play like it? Do you beat the team in such a way that you should beat the team?
Leeds answered the challenge, all while racking up 995 yards of offense in this 2-game span.
I don't know if you knew this, between those 2 games, we had 995 yards offense.
When an offense is rolling, it's just everybody's just clicking on all cylinders. We're all catching our blocks. Most of the people that we're blocking are going down on the ground. And then you just see ZJ, Talon, or Connor running past them, getting into that end zone. It's great.
The Green Wave hoped to stay hot as they came back home and welcomed region opponent Jacksonville to town.
Well, the Jacksonville game was interesting because we had never played them. We knew that's a fine program with a lot of pride. We could tell on tape they had some athletes that could hurt you. We thought that would be really a great challenge for us.
Jacksonville's strong rushing attack reared its head early, and the Golden Eagles jumped out to a 7-0 lead. But the Green Wave settled, scoring 35 unanswered, and grabbing control of the game.
This particular team would kind of feel a team out from a defensive perspective and then, rise to play a little better in most games. And they did that in this game. We played great defense in this game and offensively just continued to roll. You come in 40-40 and then in a 35-point game. I think we controlled it after the first quarter pretty much. And to me, that was a huge win because Jacksonville, you could tell, I was glad we played them when we did because they were going to get better each year. And they'll be a heck of an opponent for us next year, no doubt about it.
Next, the 5-0 Green Wave took a short trip down 119 for a matchup against a dangerous 0-5 Briarwood team.
The most dangerous game of this season was facing an 0-5 team who was without their best player.
I remember that we went in a little entitled, and we started off good. We were doing really good, and then I think we got too comfortable with where we were.
When we get over there and the worst thing that can happen happens and we just go up 14-0 like we're about to boat race Briarwood. And then Justin Reynolds enters the game for Briarwood and physically dominated our defense.
I remember we just played very sloppy. We didn't take them very seriously, and they just ended up whooping our butt.
Losing to Briarwood like we did was so embarrassing, and basically having to go back in time and relearn a lot of stuff, and we were just so confident that we were just going to go beat them, and losing like that really helped us persevere.
You knew it was coming. That is going to be the turning point of your season. You will either go downhill from that point facing the meat of our schedule, or you'll fight and you'll really pick yourself up, and then you find out, was all the training worth it? Was how we treat our kids worth it? Was saying you believe in each other and all the team stuff that we try to be about, are you really won?
Suffering a 35-14 loss to Briarwood, the Green Wave came back home and did exactly what they needed to, fought.
So that week, I think our kids kind of woke themselves up a little bit. The simple fact of the matter is their quarterback and receiver was a terrible matchup for us.
There were plenty of points to go around in this one, as the two teams combined for 98 points.
The highest scoring game.
Yeah, highest scoring game in Leeds history. As an offensive player, how does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me proud of our unit, the way we operated. I mean, that just showed how we just operated throughout the entire year. We always operated as just a group.
But the Green Wave's edge in a tight game came on a special teams play by Gavin Howard.
Well, it was a very close game, and we were going back and forth, and we finally got a stop, and then Coach Hood had set up a block all week that we hoped worked, and I got around, and I just knew off the bat I had it, and I got there and got my hands up, and it got blocked.
When we went out for a block punt, and Gavin went straight towards the opponent as soon as he kicked it and blocked it, and he scooped it up and scored. It was a great moment.
We played them before, Coach said they're better. You don't know if your kids are really listening to you. You block that punt and it becomes fun again. And so from that point forth, it was just about competition. And that was a huge play in that game. Usually when you block a punt, especially if you score off of it, you will not lose.
The Green Wave didn't lose and headed across the bridge to take on crosstown rival Moody.
The Leeds and Moody game is going to always be difficult at the other person's place. Moody's got a good football team. We did not play well. A lot of things happened in that game that kind of dictated the outcome, which you hate to see. We did not play well, and they played pretty good early. But I was so proud of our kids for not quitting. Because sometimes when you get behind in a rivalry game, it's just like, well, let's just move on to the next game and, whatever. But our kids continue to fight.
We got a lot of fighters on our team that, even if we're down, we're still going to try to claw our way back. No matter no matter how far we're down, we're really never going to give up until that clock hits 0.
I think it brought our team together. Like I've said, like it made us be closer together, play for each other, and it just, woke us up and made us have a very good run in the playoffs, and even at the end of the regular season, I think that really set the tone for us.
I think the most that we learned is discipline, just like when we ended up losing to Rivalry. We learned that we're not really the team that we thought we was at that point. So we just had to go back on Monday and get straight to work and get better day by day.
Leeds headed home and headed back to work and welcomed in region foe Center Point to battle it out for home field advantage in the 5A state playoffs.
Center Point was a good football team and been a good program as long as Coach Bates has been there. And for whatever reason, these things just seem to happen when we play Center Point.
These things were 5 turnovers, and they helped the Green Wave roll over Center Point 49-24.
What I remember that night about the turnovers is I was pushing the guy back, and then I see Sebastian just run around and pick the ball up. I said, dang, okay, Sebas, because he had done so good that whole week of practice. He started to pick it back up, and then he was doing good. And then as soon as I saw him pick the ball up, I was like, dude, I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud.
With a home playoff spot secured, the Green Wave rolled into homecoming week, where a tight game with Pelham came down to the last drive, and a word we'll never forget.
He said, Husky. What do you think about Husky?
Do you know what I'm thinking? And I said, what are you thinking? He said, Husky. And I said, let's do it.
We go out there, Sam sends me in motion, throws the ball to me, and I look at Sammy, but then I kind of peek to the right a little bit, and I see nobody over there, and I'm like, okay, we won the game.
And he throws it to one of my favorite players of all time, Sam Lawler. And he throws it, and Sammy Dimes turns on the 5-4 Jets, and he scores the big touchdown in the big game. Lights are flashing, pandemonium ensues, and you can see all of our kids genuinely excited.
In my head, I just cannot believe that I'm about to score this. I never would have thought it would have worked.
Sam's the talk of the town that night on homecoming night. It's amazing.
Leeds finished the regular season 8-2 and turned its sights to a highly ranked Guntersville squad in what turned out to be one for the history books.
Some folks in the crowd that have been attending Leeds football games for 50 years have told me that may be the best game they've ever seen, especially at Leeds High School.
That proved true. After a hot start by both offenses, the game settled and the teams went into half tied at 14.
At halftime, telling the kids in the defensive room, you just get 2 stops. We're going to score enough that this game can go either way, but if you get 2 stops, we're going to win the game.
The defense delivered the stops. Miles Jones intercepted a tip pass by Grayson Ford to stop a surging Guntersville.
So I come around the edge, and there's just nobody in between me and the quarterback, and I see him pull back his arm to throw, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I got to jump up and get that. And I was going to try to catch it, but he just threw it a little too high. So I just tried to knock it down, and it tipped up, and I looked behind me, and I see Miles Jones catch it.
Grayson Ford, he had got to the quarterback. Quarterback tried to throw the ball away. Grayson batted the ball in the air. Then I was there, and I had picked the ball off to get the offense in good field position to go down, put some points on the board.
With just 28 seconds to go and the game tied at 28, Connor Nelson hit Talon Gator for a 68-yard game-winning touchdown pass that proved to be the difference.
It was just it was crazy. I didn't know what to do. All I had to do, when I got in the end zone, I just walked and just admired everything about that play. And we ended up winning that game in the first round. Nobody thought we would win it.
The defense delivered one more stop, and the Green Wave hit the road to Fairview for round 2. On the road, in a wet and cold hostile environment, Leeds found itself in a tight one. Leading by 6 and needing a play, the Greenies found one.
Of course, they're all expecting Connor. We give it to ZJ, he takes it to the house, which is a credit to him. The kids all blocked it well. That was super fun to see that play.
You cut, what do you see?
Grass. I'm going touchdown.
Fairview got the ball back with a chance to score, but a Gavin Howard interception put it out of reach.
And we all should be joyous and we all should be happy. And Gavin, in his excitement, throws the ball to Fairview sideline, which was something we had to discuss. And when I asked him, why would you do that? He gave me an incredible answer, and I'm sure it was not smart aleck at all when he said, I was just trying to give them their ball back.
Yeah.
Fairview got their ball back, and the Green Wave headed home to host a quarterfinal game against Corner.
Because if you're a competitor, man, this is living right here. This is being alive right here. You understand? This is lap 3. Let's win lap 3. That's all we control. That's it.
Leeds controlled it all right. The defense held Corner's leading rusher to just 80 yards, and the offense managed to score 57 points in a 21-point quarterfinal win. With the win, the Green Wave advanced to the semifinals for just the 7th time in school history. But it was all Moody that night, defeating the Green Wave 42-0 and ending one of the most magical runs in Leeds history.
I was kind of in shock because I saw everybody crying, and I was trying not to, but at the same time it was about to start crying, and it was just kind of sad because everything kind of just ended, and we didn't want it to end that way.
The journey that was going through my mind from freshman year, I was 90 pounds, 5'6", all the way until grew all the way to my senior year. It felt like the journey was fun, and I'm gonna miss it.
Really, it's just having, these brothers that you can live with and have lifelong friends that have really made this game really fun. And Leeds, coming here my freshman year, I didn't know what to think. I didn't have any friends, and having Coach Ed bring me into it, and it really started my my high school career off great. And Leeds is a great place to play.
I'm glad I joined football because it's taught me some life lessons that are very important to learn.
Where's the end?
Mainly just, I'm very glad I moved to Leeds and played football. That was my first year of football, my junior year. And I'm honestly glad I did that because I met so many new friends, especially coming to a new school, and that was just a good way to connect with people. And that's really the reason I joined football. But as we went through the season, I started to actually take it serious in practice and just work to get better.
I'd probably say love. Especially with me, I just love every single guy that was out there, and I knew that they loved me back. And no matter how good or bad, each of us were playing, or how we were just as a player, they still loved us no matter what.
Pride, about family, about friendship, about working better for yourself.
Growing up, watching the guys on Friday nights every week, and it just means a lot to be able to wear that Leeds across my chest.
Growing up in Leeds, I always looked up to the football players, always been on the sideline. I just always wanted to be one of them. And when I finally got that chance, I made the most out of it. Put all the sweat and blood and tears into every game, every practice, just to be the best Leeds team that we could be.
The dictionary doesn't have any pictures, but the history books do. If you're looking for a team, look no further than this bunch. A team who played their way into Leeds history books and into the heart of every Greenie. What a run.